Good evening and welcome to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Logan Bourandas and I'm joined alongside Chris Lemmo. Today we're looking at some of the MLB races and talking about who will win some of the biggest awards that the MLB has to offer. To start, Chris, what are your thoughts on the Cy Young race?
Well, in the AL, I think you got to go with Shane Bieber. He has been absolutely electric this year. I still don't know how the Indians do it. I mean, every year they're constantly just cranking out pitchers. I mean, it is the pitcher factory. And this year, of course, it is Shane Bieber with a 1.53 ERA. He leads the league. He's second in WAR and wins above replacement, that is. And that's behind Fernando Tatis, who is an everyday position player. So there is an argument to be made that he has been the best player in baseball this year. And what's interesting about him is he's not like some of these younger pitchers that are coming up. You see these guys hitting 100 with an electric fastball. He's not that guy. He sits 94 with his fastball. But his curve and his slider that come down and in to lefties and away from righties, he gets righties to roll over on it. And it's just a really tough two pitches that he could get guys easily to strike out on. I mean, his K rate this year is through the roof. He's over 14.9, I believe it is, strikeouts per 9 this year. So he has been incredible.
Well, taking a look at the NL, it's a bit of a tighter race than what the AL kind of has to offer. You got Jacob deGrom, who's won the Cy Young the past 2 years, and then you got Yu Darvish and you got Trevor Bauer, two of the kind of contenders to take deGrom's throne. But I don't think it's good enough to take over Jacob deGrom. What he has done this season against the NL East, he leads the entire NL in ERA with a 1.67 ERA, and he's tied for first in strikeouts with Aaron Nola. But what he has done night in and night out, his speed on his fastball, it's been probably the fastest it's ever been. It's touched 101 miles per hour on some occasions, which matches his career high. And even in prior years, when you take a look at the races that he's had in prior years with Max Scherzer, the main argument that he's had against him has been his team success. Everyone knows that the Mets haven't been a winning organization, and that shows in deGrom's record. It hasn't been the best. But this year, he's actually 4-1. The Mets are finally scoring some runs when deGrom is on the mound. So there's really nothing to go wrong when you take a look at Jacob deGrom's case. And with Steve Cohen behind the Mets, maybe they can add some more offense around Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll be looking for a big free agent splash this offseason to surround deGrom with a team that could go deep in the playoffs next year.
All right, now moving on to some of the newer guys in the league. What are your picks for Rookie of the Year this year?
Well, I got to go with the second baseman in San Diego, Jake the Rake Cronenworth. This guy just flat out hits. I mean, he's hitting over 320 right now. He has 3 triples, 4 homers. His exit velocity is over 90, which is in the top 100 in the league. And in some of the statistical categories, if you dive deeper, he's even ahead of guys like Machado, which is amazing because Machado's had a fantastic year. And what's really amazed me about him is, one, his defense. He wasn't really considered that strong at second, but right now he's in the top 10 in runs saved right now defensively. Not only that, but he also is hitting the ball to all fields. He's not just a pull hitter. A lot of these guys, when they come up, yeah, they hit the ball really hard and they have a high average, right away before pitchers figure them out, but they're pulling the ball. And he has showed the ability to go to all fields, which really does translate towards long-term success in the MLB.
All right, and moving over to the American League side, what Kyle Lewis has done for the Seattle Mariners can't go unnoticed. The Mariners have started kind of a rebuild, kind of a youth movement with some of their younger prospects coming up to the MLB this season, with Kyle Lewis kind of being the main guy of that group. The outfielder has been the Mariners' best player, arguably. He leads the Mariners in most statistical categories, and judging that with the rest of the MLB, he currently leads the Mariners in batting average and just has a batting average 4 points below Mike Trout this season. And in home runs, he leads the Mariners, which is the same amount as Michael Conforto, who is having a breakout season of his own in New York with the Mets. He has really blossomed into the Mariners' best player this season, and he could be a key piece to a youth movement that has a lot of guys coming up. Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic, both just outfielders alone. That Mariners team can be a dangerous team with Kyle Lewis at the forefront.
That outfield for the next decade is set. I mean, they are going to be a ton of fun to watch in Seattle, and maybe they'll finally end that playoff drought.
All right, Chris, and to wrap up this segment, we're going to take a look at the biggest award of the season. Let's talk the MVP races.
This is a tough one. I got to go with Jose Abreu. And I know the argument's going to be made, well, what about Mike Trout? And trust me, Trout, I think, is still the best player in baseball. I'm not going to argue that. But a lot of people say, oh, well, the MVP has got to be on a competitive team. And the Angels, despite getting Rendon, have not surrounded Trout with talent. So I got to go with Abreu. I mean, the White Sox, look what they've done this year. I mean, they might win the Central, and arguably, they're the best team right now in the AL. I mean, I don't see who's stopping them. But Abreu is hitting .319, 15 homers, which is good for second in the league, 47 RBIs, which leads the league. And I know a lot of people at the trade deadline previously, in previous years, were wondering they could get a good return for him. I mean, Jose Abreu is a good locker room guy, a great leader. He's getting up there in age. He's in his 30s, but in his prime right now. But the White Sox decided to hold on to him. It's sort of like that core piece to get the youth guys to grow around. And he has really been their leader this year for guys like Luis Robert, Nick Madrigal, all those guys to look up to.
All right, and taking over, going over to the National League here, there's a bunch of different cases you can make for this award here. Right on this paper alone, I listed Marcell Ozuna, Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Dominic Smith, surprisingly, and Fernando Tatis Jr., but I'm not going with any of those guys. I'm going with another first baseman. I'm going Freddie Freeman here for the Atlanta Braves. He's currently second in the NL with in OPS. While he only has 10 home runs, which isn't really a big stat for me, he ranks top 5 in both hits and batting average. But when I was looking this up, what really separates Freddie Freeman from all those other guys is he doesn't strike out at all. In fact, he has more walks than strikeouts this season, and he ranks high in walks. He ranks in the top 5 in walks this year, which really shows his ability to get on base. And his story this year, he got coronavirus before the season started. He revealed his story. He had some really, really tough times dealing with that virus. He comes back. He still puts the league on notice. He dominates the league. And he's just like with the White Sox. The Braves are in first place in the NL East. They're in that position with a controllable margin. And Freddie Freeman has been arguably their best player this season, as he has been for the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think Freddie Freeman, anybody that's watched him play, I mean, it's impossible to get him out. I don't know how teams do it. I would probably go towards Tatis. I know that's the easy pick to make there. I mean, he's hitting .293. He is absolutely scorching the ball right now. In fact, he's one of the hardest hit rates in the league. But I think that's the easy pick to make. But Freddie Freeman definitely is making a strong case, especially after his slow start due to COVID.
And that's going to do it here for MLB Awards prediction on Penn State Sports Night. For Chris Lemmo, I'm Logan Bourandas, and have a great day.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.